Hello and welcome to the finals here at GP Gothenburg 2013. We got a great ending to a tournament. We have one more match to go. The winner will take home the trophy and the fame of being a GP winner. So that's definitely something that both players that we have here lined up want to take home. We have Törnros of Sweden here on the left in the blue shirt. Squaring off against Oscar Christensen there on the far right. The finals, a huge crowd watching the match. So many Swedes and Danes came here for the tournament, and they're watching their friends battle it out for the title. And we see Törnros, the higher seed, coming into the tournament, and in third, he's playing against Oscar Christensen, who sneaked in 8th place over Jake Smith. And Törnros immediately on the board with Tavern Swindler with Rakdos deck.
So Törnros is going to try to be as aggressive as possible, but just like we saw with the other matchups, the walls of Oscar Christensen are going to provide troublesome. And it's really going to be aggro versus control. How does the aggressive deck deal enough damage before the control cards of Christensen take over? And it's almost like Christensen has a little bit too much control elements, because walls alone aren't going to beat 3 Carnage Gladiators.
Yeah, and speaking of Carnage Gladiator, Törnros played turn 3 vs.Oscar Racketeer, elected to not discard a card to draw a card, because his hand was 2 Carnage Gladiators. Ooh, Oscar Christensen is going to regret this August spree, which saves him 2 life here now, but the Carnage Gladiator is going to come into play now, and he still has 1 more in his hand. So what can Oscar Christensen do? He still doesn't have blue mana. Doesn't have blue.
That doesn't look like a hand that's beating triple Carnage Gladiator Rakdos deck. Taking 6 here, going down to 10. That could be one of the quickest games of the top 8.
Oh yeah, so Carnage Gladiator and vs.Oscar Racketeer combined forces to attack for 6. Another Carnage Gladiator, that's lethal on board right there. So
and to be fair, there's almost no draw that can beat this kind of start.
Yeah, but if someone can beat Törnros in 3 games, it definitely is Oscar Christensen. We see he has August Spree to deal with the Gladiator. He has an Annihilating Fire. He also has a Warped Physique in his hand. That all cards that deal with the Carnage Gladiator really well.
And his hand is stacked, but he doesn't have an island, so he isn't going to start casting spells until he draws that, and then it's only one spell a turn. What does Mats have here? Is it? It's a Civic Saber.
Civic Saber. So 8 damage here, piling in for a Törnros. That Civic Saber proving its worth. And now actually, even if he draws an island, it's not enough. There's a Devour Flesh, but yeah, that's not enough. And in one of the quickest games, Törnros just takes the finals by the horns, and just 1 game away from taking it home.
1-0 for Sweden here. It almost reminds me of Elias Watzfeld just crushing people with his aggressive strategies.
Definitely, I see shadows of GP Lisbon finals where Elias Watzfeld fell down to Ivan Floch.
But that was because Supreme Verdict played an important role, and I don't see Oscar Christensen casting Supreme Verdict.
Nope.
Smartly taking out Underworld Connections here. You don't want to pay life for cards in this matchup, and Oscar Christensen definitely needs some better starting hands.
Yeah, he's also siding out the Woodlock Crawler, which trades quite well at the start, but he seems to be putting in 3 cards, putting it into their deck. So, well, hopefully for him, he will draw some of them, and they will help him. Yeah, so Törnros not changing anything.
No, we do know that one of the weaknesses, if you want to call it, of Mats' deck is that he doesn't really have a lot to draw from in his sideboard. He's main decking Shadow Alley Denizen. He's playing some support cards, but they work really well in his deck. He's happy not to change a thing. His deck has performed exceptionally well, so he just wants to draw early creatures and Carnage Gladiators.
Yeah, definitely something that he can do well. And Oscar Christensen only dropped a game to Robin Steinborn, and but I would see him in in a full 3 matches kind of draft, dropping a fair few games to Mana Problems, just because this is the classic battle, power against consistency.
Yes, and we saw that missing blue there not only made it tough, but it made it impossible.
Yeah,
and that's a big difference.
Yeah, so both players shuffling up for game 2. Remember, you know, the last GP winner in Europe was from Denmark. It was Thomas Enevoldsen. And if Oscar Christensen wins now, there's going to be a streak of Danish GP winners. But if Mats wins, then the title of GP champion stays in Sweden again after Kenny Oberg won the GP Gothenburg previously. Now Mats Törnros has the chance to again saying to the world, like, you're not going to come to Sweden to get the GP title all that easy.
Playing on home turf with the large portion of the audience rooting for you, that's a big motivation.
Oh, definitely, and there are a lot of people spurring me on, and even though he doesn't give anything away, I'm definitely expecting to see plenty of smiles from Mats Törnros if he manages to win one more game here in the finals of GP Gothenburg 2013. We see Oscar Christensen does have a water grave in his hand, so that's already a good start to his mana problem. Also has a mountain.
So his mana is set this game, and Mats taking the mulligan.
Mats takes the mulligan. There you see the crowd. It's actually even deeper than that. You can't even see all the people that have been changing there. And yeah, pictures being taken for the coverage. There's a smile for Mats. So even though he's mulliganing, both players do seem relaxed. Because remember, they're in the finals. They secured some prize money, a substantial amount for both of them, as well as flights and qualification for the next Pro Tour, which is in Dublin in October. So certainly good for them.
For basically every Magic player, that qualification is what they came here for. If you ask anybody what they're here for, it's to qualify for the Pro Tour.
Yeah, we saw that in the quarterfinals where Robin Stein was like, "Yeah, Pro Tour, I got there."
And he knew his deck wasn't a Grand Prix winning deck.
Yeah, back to the game though. Water Grave for Oscar Christensen against the Swamp from Mats Törnros. And now Duskmantle Guild Mage, that's a good start for Oscar Christensen. He can actually try to trade early to not be that far behind, and actually matches up quite well against the White of Priest in 6, which actually can be quite decent, considering Oscar Christensen really has a lot of spells and drags out the games quite long. There's a Banally Broker.
That's a very good blocker if it's allowed to survive. But of course you're risking to lose it to a trick, and then you don't have your card advantage engine, and you have pumped up the White of Precinct 6, so maybe taking a damage here, just the smarter move.
Yeah, Mats Törnros will play Gateway Shade now, I believe. Yeah, with no Guild Gates and drawing 3 mountains and just 1 swamp. This is not the best card in this situation.
I think Mats missed an opportunity here to threaten the Bane Alley Broker. It's not at all clear that Oscar would have blocked, because losing Bane Alley Broker to a Blood Rush of Skinbrand Goblin would have been absolutely devastating. So I think Mats could have attacked here.
He could have attacked. He had nothing to lose against tapped out Oscar Christensen. There's no free spells here. Banally Blackguard. I'm guessing that's one of the sideboard cards for Oscar Christensen. So that holds up the ground really well. He can now freely use his Banally Broker, which is his long-term plan now.
And he's also holding open 2 mana, and he does have Warp Physique in his deck. So now he's going to be able to respond to any kind of tricks with Warp Physique, and that makes a big difference.
Yep. As I correctly predicted, the Banally Blackguard did get sideboard in for this matchup specifically. So now, after Carnage Gladiator was played, Oscar Christensen would all of his mana set up a few defenses and use the Broker. And does he have a way to deal with the Carnage Gladiator?
He didn't play anything this turn, and it looks like he's sitting on 2 6-drops again.
He has a downsize and an Spirit Skywatch, so he boarded in downsize again for this matchup, the same way that the Tour of Severin did in the semis. Yeah, downsize came in. It should be great in this matchup, but he has a Mind Eye Drake, which is even better. 5 toughness and 2 power in the air is really good against this board where Mats is actually really behind.
Yeah, and a 2/5 is just what you want against Carnage Gladiator. But there aren't many in the format when you think about it.
Yeah,
so
Kuros the Gorgon and Mind Eye Drake definitely spring to mind, but they're both uncommons.
And now a second Carnage Gladiator and a Weapon Surge could be pretty good against that Mind Eye Drake. Is Mind Eye Drake targeting any player, or
you can choose any player?
Okay, because Oscar Christensen doesn't want to have extra creatures put into his graveyard, that's for sure.
Yeah, he will definitely target Mats Törnros if the Mind Eye Drake were to die. Now the Carnage Gladiator attacks, and he's going to trade the weapon search for the Minor Drake, which is a trade I think he would do any day of the week. And it looks like Oscar Christensen doesn't want to risk it. And he also has a Breaking Entering. Is that just 2 cards? Oh yeah, so maybe he put the Isperia Skywatch under the Black Baneley Broker, or maybe I have just mistaken the downsides for the Skywatch.
So we are seeing a wait here because Oscar Christensen, okay, he wants to get some more information with the broker, but what's really going through his mind is that if he blocks, he takes 2 from Carnage Gladiator's ability. If he doesn't block, he takes 4. So it's only an additional 2 damage if he declines to block, but it has multiple advantages, and the biggest advantage is that he's going to be able to use downsize in response to any tricks of Mats. So untapping here is what he really wants, and that's worth the additional life and keeping his Minor Drake alive.
Yep. So now Oscar Christensen now also has a 6th land, and the Baneley Broker is still active and still on the board, so the cards that he put away can come back and or filter through his deck as he needs. So, wow, is that an attack? No fear. The Baneley Black card attacks as well.
Okay,
It's a very interesting attack because the Baneley Black card could have been blocked by the Carnage Gladiator, but it does seem like Mats didn't want to expose any of his creatures, and now the downsize is basically he's kind of baiting Mats to attack with everything.
It is, but it is only a fog, so he would have to use the Guild Mage's ability to win here. Did he drop his land? No, I think he held it back.
He held it back. Yeah, so he definitely. So he's looking to downsize, not waiting for any tricks, and before blockers he plays downsize.
I still would have assumed that you hold back the Minor Drake because that prompts a response. Yep. But
he probably wants to find a way to kill Matsu really quickly.
Oh, he has. If he has Breaking Entering in hand, he's just looking to kill with Duskmetal Guildmage again.
Oh yeah.
So this is the kill that we actually saw previously, and that's why it's so important to bring Mats down to 8. Breaking mills 8 cards, and the ability of Duskmetal Guildmage says whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard this turn, he or she loses 1 life. So
yeah, and now we see Mats Törnros replies with Explosive Impact on Duskmetal.
Does he know about the potential of Breaking Entering?
With so many Swedes watching on and seeing the semifinals, I think they told him that this might be a possibility, and it would actually explain why Oscar has been playing this way. So a very, very good play from Oscar. I'm super impressed by his play. Very, very crisp.
It takes a lot of awareness to figure out what's happening on the opposing side of the board and then act accordingly. Yeah. Trust your instincts. And he knows that 2 Carnage Gladiators is basically the dream come true for him. And it's exactly the card he wants against the defensive deck of Christensen, who, we have to say, also played really well with that attack. Yeah. Because he was setting up a win if Mats didn't have the wit to Explosive Impact.
Yeah, but Mats read him like a book and did have the Explosive Impact to get rid of the Guild Mage. So that the Guild Mage breaking combo is not going to happen this turn. Mats is looking like he wants to make something happen, but he kind of, I wouldn't say he wasted. Oh yeah, he also has an Explosive Impact in his hand.
He found that with the help of Baneley Broker. So he's looking once again to close out the game next turn, keeping up an Explosive Impact as a backup spell, but also as his win condition.
Yeah, because now Oscar Christensen is probably looking at a chump blocking with most of his guys. The White of Precinct 6 is a 2/2. The Gateway Shade can also grow up to a 2/2. Remember, Mats Törnros also has a Weapon Surge in his hand, so yeah, as expected, just the Carnage Gladiators get blocked. The 4 life gets lost for Oscar Christensen because the Carnage Gladiators are cumulative. So that means that Oscar is at 8.
We do see Gateway Shade being definitely the weakest card here.
Weakest link, but if Mats had more swamps, he could actually win the game now because he would be able to Weapon Surge Overload. That's an attack for 6.
For a second I thought that
2 more would have been lethal.
Giving the Carnage Gladiators first strike does pump the White of Precinct 6, but if it also gains first strike, then that doesn't really work out.
Matter. Yeah, so the Baneley Black card gets used. But remember, Oscar Christensen still has the Explosive Impact to.
And that's his whole game plan. He.
He's
just going to flash the Explosive Impact, ask Mats if he can stop the 2/5 flyer. Otherwise, his control deck takes down the game by racing the Rakdos deck.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Here comes the Gorehouse Chainwalker. Weapon Surge, only card left in Mats Törnros. There's the Explosive Impact. Take 5.
Ah, that's enough. Mats even playing around Tournament Crasher because he realized that was a dangerous card for him.
Yeah, that's the game. So 1 game apiece here in the finals, and we're going to Game 3 in a European GP again. I think it's a tradition.
And that's because once you reach the finals, you just have 2 very powerful decks facing off against each other, and both of them have shown what they're capable of. And we've actually seen some nifty plays where it's not really clear. If you don't know what you're facing, you wouldn't have made these plays.
Sure.
So we actually saw some next level magic there.
Cool. So yeah, we're going to head to Game 3 here in the finals. Oscar Christensen, lost the second one, won out the second one just by really cheeky plays. He had the Duskmantle Guildmage with breaking combo to deal 8.
That's a very potent combo.
Yeah, it is.
I don't care about the creatures in your graveyard. I'm just going to kill you.
Yeah.
It's like a super fireball.
Yeah, 6 mana, take 8. Using 2 cards though, but one's a creature you want to run anyway. And if you're running the red for the entering part as well, it's not that bad. I mean, 6 mana reanimate could backfire, but even in deck with Pilfered Plans, we've seen Psychic Strikes.
Yes,
you can actually reanimate a random creature.
And there are enough matchups where you can just get up to 8 mana.
Yeah.
And then you'll get a good creature almost guaranteedly.
Yeah. We also saw, a Via Shino Racketeer being played on turn 3, getting rid of some expensive cards to get a few lands. So that also makes breaking entering viable. But this game, by boarding in 3 cards and drawing 2 of them, Banally Blackguard and Downsize, Oscar Christensen was able to win the game this way.
Sideboarding against an aggressive deck is definitely an art. Now that we think about it, the breaking entering doesn't even seem like the card that you would want against an aggressive Rakdos deck. He certainly doesn't want to reanimate his opponent's Carnage Gladiators, but breaking, giving him a way to win the game.
Yeah.
And that's also, I think he has realized that even though his deck is very late game focused, 3 Carnage Gladiators means that he has to close out games almost as quickly as his opponent.
Yeah, definitely. And now Mats Törnros is on the play for the final game, and we saw how aggressive his deck can be.
Okay, Mate, Rakdos is on the play. Grixis is going to defend on the draw. Who's going to win?
Mats was my favorite, and I still think he can pull it off. But after seeing Oscar in action, I can see him. Can see him winning. I already saw the Devour Flash in Oscar Christensen's hand, so I'm going to be biased towards Oscar this time. And we see no swamps for Mats Törnros. He kept with 2 mountains and a Gorehouse Chainwalker, which is a great start. But without a swamp, it actually might be at risk.
Yeah, so
we
might see a game that's decided by mana once again. We talked about consistency, and we thought that Mats' deck was the more consistent one.
Devour Flash from Oscar Christensen takes down the only creature of Mats Törnros, which was the Gorehouse Chainwalker. And now Mats Törnros no third land. We've seen it time and time again. Does Oscar have a land? He has a Banally Blackguard and a swamp.
Playing the creature first, but he does have lands.
No land for Mats again, but Oscar Christensen has a fair amount of lands himself. He can actually Dimir Charm the opponent to deny him even more lands, but if he doesn't follow it up with anything, he can't do much there, so just passes the turn.
He's still lacking mountains, but his hand is set up in a way that he can cast most of his spells.
Yeah, so now it looks like Mats Törnros will have to discard. The thing is, Mats Törnros doesn't have lands, but there's nothing to punish him for not being able to get there. He's still on 20 life. Now a Duskmantle Guildmage, finally some damage, but Mats Törnros finds a Ride Piker, which is really bad against Banally Blackguard. Annihilating Fire, and Oscar Christensen hand now drawn, still no red mana, so a little bit of mana problems on both sides. Oh.
Yeah, we are probably going to see a nice. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh wow!
Didn't expect Oscar to attack with his 1/3 facing off against the Riot Piker. You could almost assuredly just ambush the Riot Piker by forcing it to attack into the Banally Blackguard, and
he's gonna. Okay, so he used the ability, the first ability that No, I'm actually not sure what has happened here. So definitely,
I think
Dimir
what he
Sharma is
wants
being
to do is deal 2 to Mats by looking at 3 of his cards,
Right, yeah.
putting 1 back, and putting 2 into the
It's
graveyard.
3 lands though, so he
Yeah.
probably just put the 2 swamps away and leaves him with a mountain, which might actually, Mats does have a few red cards in his hand, so might actually help him cast like via Shino Racketeer. There's an explosive impact, Act of Treason, and here comes the Riot Piker. So
He did give up quite a lot of value though. He spent Dimir Charm to not really get a card out of the deal, and blocking Riot Packer would have actually gained him a card by, even if there is a weapon search involved, you can still respond by Dimir Charm. So that was somewhat of an interesting line, but that Dimir Guild, Oscar Christensen has shown that Dimir Guildmage, he looks at it as a win condition.
yeah, he does have breaking in his hand, so I think he's just looking at putting the maximum damage to Mats, and maybe try to close out the game by using the breaking together with the Guildmage. But he certainly wouldn't mind drawing any land with his Asperia Skywatch in his hand, where he can take it to the skies. And yeah, so via Shino Racketeer discards Explosive Impact, and Mats Törnros finally draws a swamp which he will play the following turn. What did Oscar Christensen draw? Is there Flux Charger? I think I see a Flux Charger.
Yeah, there's also a Fatal Fumes, so
Yeah.
that's another card to stem the bleeding here.
Yeah,
Place it in his main phase to get in for 2.
Yeah.
Like we said, Duskwind the Guildmage absolutely crucial for him winning this game. And now
here
the
come the
swamps keep
swamps,
coming.
yeah.
So this is the point where Mats gets going, but it might be too late. But now he's going to do everything in his power to get in there. With the first thing that he has to do though is to handle the Bane Alley Blackguard.
Yep. And the Bane Alley Blackguard stayed home. It will block the Riot Piker if Oscar Christensen gets the chance. There it is. And yeah, first strike. It's gonna Fatal Fumes it seems. Yeah, Fatal Fumes.
Yeah.
Using the worst removal spells, giving up a few damage. But now if Oscar Christensen can get land, you see how he draws it really hard. He really needs the 6th one to go for the Skywatch.
So,
But has a Mirko Vosk instead. Actually, Mirko Vosk together with the Guildmage also
that
a
could
very
be
powerful
lethal
combo.
very, very quickly. But I think there is a Grizzly Spectacle
yeah,
waiting.
yeah, that's why he saved the Spectacle. It gets rid of the Mirko Vosk and mills 2 cards as well. Oh, yeah, 2 cards.
I think Mats might be in this game.
Yeah, definitely.
Somehow his Riot Packer is still alive. He did draw quite a lot of lands after finding the first swamp, but
yeah, now on 11, and we know that there's the 6th land. There's a Skywatch. It's going to deny the Riot Piker, so even if he has to attack, it won't be able to. And now, actually, Oscar Christensen has 3 more damage in the air, and he actually has the kill with breaking.
he's threatening to finish this game on a high and finish this tournament, win this tournament with the combo of Duskmantle, Guildmage, and Breaking Entering. And if Mats taps out here, I think the kill is there.
He does have enough. He has 6 lands. Yeah, you see. Oscar is feeling very confident, has a smile on his face.
He makes sure that the judge also knows what the life totals are so that we get to see it live. Activate Duskmantle Guildmage. Whenever a card is put into the graveyard, breaking. Milieu for 8. Look at his face.
He sees the smile. Yeah, he knows he has the win. There's the handshake. Oscar Christensen wins the GP and goes to celebrate with his fans. Look at how happy they are. Oscar Christensen takes the title home from Sweden, takes it back across the Baltic Sea, home to Denmark. We got a new Danish GP winner, a second one in a row, and the latest GP winner, his name is not Thomas Enevoldsen, his name is Oscar Christensen. There you can see him with the trophy as presented by the tournament organizer Glenn, here at GP Glenn itself, as it's known by the Swedes here. Great achievement for the Danish player. So solid play. I'm very impressed by how he played this tournament.
Yes.
And the lines he was taking. And a big round of applause for Mats Törnros, the local player, getting claps from not only the Danish and Swedish camp, but from all the other nationalities. And you can see how happy Oscar